Look forward to listening. Have fun tonight.
I think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man.
Oh, you are teeing this up so good.
Enzo, to me, looks like a more agile, basically a young Chess Fabregas.
It's a Rolls Royce, man. It's Thiago Silva.
Messi is the Jorginho of international football. That was a dumb take.
Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners here in America. Even though it wasn't a great Thanksgiving weekend for Chelsea, we hope you certainly enjoyed yours and had a nice little turkey coma, or in Parker's case, a pastrami coma. Parker, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. I was excited that the pastrami turned out. It was fun to take on a new process, and when you're cooking for just the wife, you can be a little bit more adventurous. If you're cooking for 14, I don't want to take risks just because if something goes wrong, pizza as a backup just for 14 doesn't really play as much. But when it's just the wife, she's like, "Buck it, let's roll with it," and it turned out well. So yeah, it was a good Thanksgiving day. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody that listens to our pod, not just the Americans, Collins, because you know what, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It's all about just family and being together and cooking a good meal. And me, man, food is like my love language. I love cooking for people. I love just sharing food. And I think so many great memories happen around the dinner table. So it's it just speaks to me. It's not materialistic, even though I love buying presents for the kids and seeing their face when it light up and whatever. Thanksgiving is just purely about family. And as I've gotten older, it's just gotten more and more important in my life. It's just the people that you love and the people that you want to be around. So happy Thanksgiving to you and to everyone that's listening.
Well said. Yeah, I'm definitely thankful for everybody who listens to our bullshit. I know we say that a lot, but it really is something genuine coming from all of us. Thankful for you boys, for you and Matt. I'm also thankful that Matt couldn't be here tonight because he would cook me on cucurella. So but I do want to start us off on a little bit of a fun note here. Let's say for next year's Thanksgiving, it's you and the wife, and you get to invite 4 Chelsea players of any era over for Thanksgiving. Who are you inviting to the table?
Oh, great question. I think John Terry is the first on the list. I feel like having a meal with John Terry would be just phenomenal. N'Golo Kante. There's been stories of N'Golo Kante having dinner at fans' houses and just being one of the nicest guys on the planet. Despite his poor performance, I'm gonna say Reece James. Reece seems like a pretty humble guy that it just seems a little quieter, but around a small dinner table I think would be fun. And then just for a little bit of antics and a guy that's going to stick his tongue out and have a little bit of fun, Eden Hazard.
That's a solid list, but also I feel like compared to my list, it's a quiet table. I went for the rowdy Thanksgiving. Diego Costa, certainly invited. David Luiz. I'm going to throw Jose Mourinho in there.
Solid.
Add a little ego. And then I have to, one of my all-time favorites, even though he did not work out as a manager, it's gonna be Frank Lampard. I'm
surprised David Luiz made the cut over Tony Rudiger on that list.
I'm still a little salty about Rudiger. My son almost picked up a Rudiger jersey on Black Friday. Rudiger Real Madrid jersey. I had to talk myself off a ledge before he bought that one. So
I would let a Real Madrid jersey come into my house quicker than the jersey that actually came into your house. So there is that.
yeah, shout out to Grandma and Grandpa for buying my son a Manchester United training top. It's always much appreciated. Thanks for the consultation.
It's like salt in the wound, man.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, to go from a high note to a low note here, Parker, we did lose 4-1 on the weekend, away to Newcastle after riding a bit of a high going into the international break. Things all seem to fall apart. Raheem Sterling scored, but outside of that, kind of a piss poor performance. Where did it all go wrong for you?
How much time do you have?
We got about an hour.
Yeah, right. This was a hard one, and I was heated when watching this match live. I was not happy. I've calmed down a lot, just because it's a year for this kind of thing to happen. But it's just the duality of this team, the Jekyll and Hyde nature of which team are we going to get, and are they going to kind of band together and play for each other, or are they going to make silly mistakes? So it had a lot going on. We're coming off of international break. Some guys didn't get in until Thursday, Friday, something like that. Never easy. We've never played well after an international break. I try not to use that as an excuse because everyone deals with international break, but it's like, it just seems like it's been Chelsea's kryptonite. And we're playing Newcastle, a team that had a bunch of injuries. And I know, on paper we should have won, but they're still a top club right now, and they're still playing well as a unit. Credit to them. They took advantage of the chances that they had. But really, if I'm going to point blame, I'm going to point at the 4 players on our back line. That's where I think things went most wrong, I guess. You saw Silva make a couple of errors, one that led to the goal, but a couple of slips on that pitch, which was a little uncharacteristic for him. Reece James picked up 2 yellows, and the first was an inexcusable yellow, in my opinion. It's a silly yellow to get, and as the captain, that's where you need to show your maturity and not pick that up. And then, I felt like that second one, he had his mind read. He took that little touch where he plays it like a half a yard behind him to buy himself some space, and it usually works. And it got completely jumped, and he just did that bailout, grab him from behind, kind of a yellow. And on a yellow, you can't do that. Like, that's clear as day. It's going to get picked up. And so it was tough. So I'll focus on the right side of the defense and let you talk about the left side of the defense if you want to. It was just overall tough. I think Poch not being on the sideline hurt us as well. And so I don't blame him per se, but he has an accumulation of yellows. So there's got to be some blame that goes to him. Just the fact that he wasn't on the touchline. He wasn't able to manage our boys. I think he makes a difference for us. So I'll give him call it 20% of the blame as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you split up the left and right side. The right side certainly was not good with Silva and James, but the left was equally as bad. Mark Cucurella not reading the script on the offside trap for Newcastle's first goal was annoying. As bad as Thiago Silva was with his errors, Benoit Badiashile looked like the 39-year-old the way he was moving out on the pitch. And I know he hasn't played in a long time. But he just looked so blocky. Wasn't moving well. He didn't really command on any balls in the air, which is shocking for the build that he has. It reminded me a bit of Kai Havertz. We're always like, why is he not commanding the box with the size that he has? It's just a little bit of that. But yeah, but between those two, it was a nightmare in defense, and it just reinforces for me how crucial of a signing Axel Disasi is. Even when Thiago Silva is playing the way Thiago Silva is playing, and I don't want to. Everybody's getting drawn into this debate of, oh, how can you not support Thiago Silva? Like, No, Thiago Silva's great. He's been great for a long time, but he's 39 years old. Eventually, you just fall off that cliff. I said it last year, and then it didn't happen. But I think we're seeing it a little bit this year. You need somebody like Disasi to pair with him, somebody who's not afraid to move around a bit, not so blocky in defense.
There was something that I saw, and I think it was the fourth goal. I'm pretty sure it was. And this may or may not have impacted the goal itself, but that ball that got played, who scored the fourth goal? Gordon.
Yep.
So that ball got played to Gordon. Silva was closest to him. Silva tracked back and covered while Badiashile rotated over for him and then defended him. And then Badiashile got cooked and Gordon scored the goal. My point is, that's Silva's man. Like, he needs to be able enough, for lack of better terms. He needs to be athletic enough to cover there and not have someone cover behind him, because that's not his role there. At least I don't believe it should be. So it's, I guess I'll speak a little bit out of turn. I've never really played organized soccer, so I don't know 100% if that's correct. My eyes tell me that that's Silva's man. It's going down the left side there, and he's got to have a defender rotate over to kind of cover his ass while Silva plays into space. So that's an example of, again, a situation that may not have even directly led to a goal. Silva could have gotten there and gotten cooked as well or whatever, but just showing the cracks.
Yeah, and I think talking about showing the cracks, I think our midfield has papered over a lot of cracks this year. Caicedo and Enzo and Gallagher, that's the primary three. With Caicedo not getting back from the South American qualifiers until the day before the match, he was benched to start this one. Not in a negative way, but he rode the bench to start. So big Les Ogochukwu got his place in the starting 11. Somebody who we got to remember is 19 years old. Looked 19 years old in this match. We did not command that midfield. Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes, and 17-year-old Lewis Miley commanded that midfield. Do we read anything into that? Is Enzo vulnerable? Is Gallagher not what we've seen? Does Les need a loan? What do you think, Parker?
I'm trying not to look too much into it. I feel like it was just some of the synergies that Newcastle brought to the table against a team that is a little bit up and down and has immaturity, and it just kind of shows in the gelling of the team. We're not a solidified team, and throwing Les into the equation never helps those situations. If we put out Caicedo, Gallagher, and Enzo and we got bossed, that's a discussion that I think we can have. But when you sub one of those legs of your stool out for a 19-year-old, things tend to break down a little bit easier. And Miley, give him credit, because he looked like the 21-year-old that has a big price tag on his neck, right? Like, that kid looked every bit of composed, every bit of solid play. I mean, we talked about pre-pod, we talked about that assist that he had. I mean, that's a big boy assist. That's a grown man assist that he had. I mean, to have that kind of composure when everything's kind of crashing around you to play that ball, I mean, it's pitch perfect. So, yeah, I'm trying to write it off in my mind. I hope it's not the sign of, like what you said, right? Enzo being not what we signed up for, and Gallagher it was just kind of an off day, and it was kind of highlighted by the fact that Newcastle capitalized. The problem I had was this game felt like it should have been a draw at worst for me. I was thinking about that when we went down 2-1 and then instantly 3-1. I said, even if we scored 2 goals, this feels like a loss to me. Like, it didn't feel, it felt like we should have, the way we played in the first half, it felt like we should have come away with a win. And that's the frustration with this team at this stage, is we see all of those things. We see all of the pieces kind of coming together. And then when they don't, it feels like betrayal as a fan.
Yeah. No, I get that. And something that, running the pod's Twitter, Max account, whatever, I see a lot of Enzo hate on a weekly basis from Chelsea fans, which is shocking. The guy's played in just about every single match since January, including the World. Well, and he played the World Cup,
Mhm.
played all summer. Like this guy has not had a break, and we saw this last year with countless players. It's like these guys need a rest, and I think that's what we're seeing out of Enzo. I know for a fact that what we saw in the second half of last year, those dime passes, those great runs, I know that that's in him because I see it when he's with Argentina. But it's just, man, give the guy a break. Let those legs rest up a little bit. Gallagher, I'm still not 100% sold on. I think he's a nice squad player. But I think when you have Nkunku, Lavia, Chukwuemeka all back, I think Gallagher is the piece that gets rotated in and out. Caicedo, after this performance, I think is a solidified starter. The way that he commands that midfield defensively and then also distributes was sorely missed for the first 60 odd minutes in this one. So yeah, I can read a little bit into the game, but I'm with you where I'm not making rash judgments on what we saw. The last point on that, and rash judgments, and we got January coming up. Would someone like a Victor Osimhen benefit this squad over Nico Jackson? We saw Nico Jackson a couple times try to get that perfect touch instead of pulling the trigger.
I'm not sold on Osimhen yet, so I'm not going to say him, but a striker, yes. And that's, we had that debate a couple weeks ago. You have been championing Can't Shoot FC for quite some time, and usually I'm the adversary to that a bit. I'm more on the other side of it, and this match I was yelling at my TV. I was like, come on, man, you gotta, that ball, I think it was Gallagher that played that ball to him, that 1-2, that just little looped ball to him. You have to take that first time. There is nowhere else for you to go. You can't bring that, you run out of room. Like, and that was the biggest one. He also had one earlier on where he took 3 dribbles and still couldn't shoot. Gallagher had one where he took 2 touches and dribbled the ball out, and it just, Can't Shoot FC was in full effect against Newcastle, and that really did piss me off. I don't know exactly what fixes that, but we joked about it with the Tottenham match with Jackson. The running joke was scored 3, should have scored 6, and I'm afraid that you chances don't grow on trees for strikers. There are games like people like Ivan Toney where you get one chance and you have to score, and you get one shot on goal, one chance, and you convert it, and you haven't touched the ball for 40 minutes, and it's the 86th minute and you score. Like, those dudes are cold-blooded, and they're a different breed, and you can tell that they're strikers through and through. And Jackson doesn't strike me as that. He strikes me as someone that wants to play a lot differently than that. Now, whether he becomes clinical or not, time will tell. But I just have this fear that he's not going to have 10 chances. He's not going to have 3 chances a match to score goals. He's going to have 1 or 2, and you got to just find a way to take them.
See, that I disagree with you there. I think he is going to have those 3, 4, 5 chances a game because he puts in the work to get into those spaces, and we have players who can distribute the ball as well as anyone in this league. But he needs to add the first time shot to his arsenal. It's not that, that's a weak part of his game or anything like that. He just doesn't have it. I haven't seen him do it once. It's always a cutback. It's always find more space. And you talked about the one where he took 2, 3, 4 touches. He cut the ball onto his weak foot. Why? Fire it off with your strong foot. I have faith in Nico Jackson. Again, I've talked about before where his inexperience, he's only got maybe a year and a half total of top level football under his belt. I think he's got room and space to grow. But is Chelsea the club to do that? I don't know. It kind of depends on how this season works out, because Broja didn't look any better.
No, he doesn't. And we haven't had a great striker in quite some time. And it's hard. And as we've built up pieces around that we've taken giant leaps forward in a lot of positions, it's becoming more and more of a glaring.
Talking about a glaring hole, Matt would probably like to bring up Robert Sanchez. I know you on a normal day would as well. 4 goals. How much blame do you put on Big Bob?
0 or next to 0. I mean, he also made 3-4 pretty nice saves, which people don't like to talk about when you give up 4 goals. Most of the goals he gave up were person on him, and just not much you can do. Point blank shots from people who slotted and did well. He didn't make any errors in my mind. Next to 0. And I would point out failures and flaws if I saw them. So coming from me, it means something, right?
Good. We're on the same page there. We don't need to get into that. No, and he didn't have any distribution errors, which is shocking.
Yeah, he made a pass that was like 20, 25 yards to Kukurea, and I texted you. I said, I think that's the best pass I've ever seen him make. I'm giving him credit where he gets it. He's just got to show up, baby. You just got to, if you put it in and on the pitch and I see it, I'll shout you out. I don't care if I was wrong in the past.
So as disappointing as the loss was, Mauricio Pochettino was more upset than I think you might have been post-match. Banned from the touchline, had to sit up in the stands. Still had to do a post-game presser. Says, quote, "This type of game makes me very, 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 very angry because it's about showing more personality and character. We didn't show that. We were competing for something very important. We were so soft in every single challenge. We need to show different energy, different capacity to compete. For me, that is key. Big teams perform every week or every 3 days in this way, and that is the thing we need to do." Later went on to say that they would not get off of training, which has now come to light that they did get off of training today. But I think that's besides the point. What do you think of Pochettino?
I like the comments. I haven't seen as much smoke anymore about him. Have you seen the Chelsea Twitter people saying "Poch out" at all?
It's starting to creep back, but it's the same people that it's always been.
Yeah, it feels like people are more on board with him than they have been in past couple of months. I think his influence is helping to form this team, and it's hard to see in this match. But looking back at other performances, I've seen this team start to gel, which is a good thing, and I think we starting to build a little bit of an identity. But I think he's right. I think for whatever reason, we overlooked Newcastle, and maybe not in the first half, but in the second half for sure. The second half, we could have come out and really dominated it and stuck it to them and played with that equal intensity. And, maybe that's, I don't know what the halftime speech was like or what the mood in the locker room was at halftime, but it feels like that's where the match was lost. Like things kind of, for whatever reason, the message and the speech and the feelings about how to play got left out. And so it was tough. And then, we made a triple sub in the 69th minute after the 2 goals got conceded. And then 4 minutes later, Reece James gets red carded. So at that point, chasing an uphill battle, your captain gets yellow carded again. I mean, it was over, right? And I think that there was potential to show some more life if that we could have fought for a draw if we had a full squad, if it was 11 on 11. At that moment, it just let all the airs out of the tires. So kind of the comeback was over before it started in my mind, and it was very defeating. It was a very defeating 7-8 minute stretch of letting in 2 cheap goals, 1 bad goal and then a really bad goal. So it was a tough one. I mean, if I'm a manager, I'm pissed at the team as well, because I was a fan, not happy with what I saw. And I'm not blaming international break for that. I'm not blaming anything else. The fact that Newcastle had arguably more injuries than us. I mean, it was kind of funny hearing a team not named Chelsea have more injuries than us. They found a way to do it. They found a way to get it done. So we didn't. managers are their job is to win, and that's really it. And when you put in a performance, not only were you lose by 3 goals, but then the way you lost, that was what really pissed me off, was the way that we lost. Because letting in goals is one thing, but showing character. So like, Chelsea let in 4 goals against City. Phenomenal match. I thought their character was great, right? Like, it was a great 4-4 draw. And part of that was because we scored 4 as well. But like, just the letting in 4 goals part didn't bother me. We showed a lot of fight. This felt like we rolled over. So what do you think of the comments?
I actually like it. I think, showing a little fire, and he didn't throw the players under the bus, but he certainly put their feet to the fire, which is something that's needed with a young team. I coached, volleyball young players for a long time. If you coddle them long enough, which, at the club that I ran, we had coaches who did that, and the players walked all over them. That's been a problem at Chelsea for a long time. They need to, Bowley and Igbali and Hansborg Weiss need to back Pochettino after this. Because they are soft. They were soft. And again, young team, you're still developmentally forming them, right? As men and as players. Set them on the right path. They fuck up, they need to know. They need to know they fucked up. I like what he did with Nico Jackson with his, 5 yellow card suspension, where he just made him run the whole practice. Nico's like, I was dead after practice. I didn't know why I was running. And then Poch told me. And then we find out that Pochettino ran a whole practice because he got suspended. And I like that. I think that's positive coaching. So I'm still backing Pochettino. Those fucking keyboard warriors are who they are. But even Fabrizio Romano came out today actually, said that the board still trusts Pochettino. His job's not at risk. The club would like to make the Champions League, and they're concerned by the recent run of forms, but Pochettino, is at no risk. As Chelsea fans, we have seen that before. We know that. We know what that means. Parker, is Pochettino's job actually at risk?
Everyone's job is always at risk. I'll just say that. In the sporting world, no one's safe, and everyone's job is at risk. And Chelsea is a club known for, having a quick trigger finger on this issue. They supported Graham Potter until they didn't as well. And Graham Potter got completely forced out of the club, even though a week prior he had the full backing of Bowley and Igbali and the whole crew. So they're going to say what they have to say. I mean, this is part politics, right? It's part media, all that crap that goes on, and it's fine. It's but yeah, I mean, Poch knows that you win or you die. Like, that's sports in a nutshell. And if you can't demonstrate forward progress of where you started versus where you are and where you want to go, the club has lofty goals. For good reason. These aren't fairy tale made up goals. These aren't like, taking a 3rd division team to the Champions League. This is Chelsea. This is a Chelsea thing. Our club is based in history, and right now, what are we, 12th? I don't even know. Like 11th, 12th. That's not good enough. It's just simply not good enough. And I still trust the process, and I still trust what we've got going on. We've made good progress, and I've seen that, and I'm not basing all of this on the Newcastle match, but these matches need to be more of an anomaly than they are. Right? If you look back at the matches that we played, you've got 4 or 5 that you're just like, man, we didn't play to the way we should have played. And when we've played 9-10 matches or whatever, and if half of them have been that and half of them have been good, it needs to be like 2 out of every 8 are bad stinkers that we didn't show up to the office that day. It can't be as frequent as what we're seeing. So that's coming. So you can talk away 1, 2, 3, and then they keep happening. You either have to have a reason for it or something's got to change.
Yeah, and I believe Fabrizio's report. I think Poch is safe. I think he's very involved in what the ownership sees as this project. Whether it be transfers, whether it be recruitment, youth. I think Pochettino is very involved in there. And they kept flashing to him up in the stands. He's sitting next to Baghdad Bali, consistently with the scarf up over his mouth. I would love to hear what he was telling Iqbali. Hey, we need this guy, or like we need somebody to replace this guy. Hey, like this needs to change. This guy needs to go. I think he's very involved in that, and I think they respect his opinion. Unless they go on like a 10-game losing streak, like we saw under Frank or under Potter, I think Pochettino's job is safe.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's safe for the foreseeable future. That this is not there won't be quick reactions to it. Like you said, it has to be something kind of tangible and sustainable of what you're seeing out of what happened back to those other managers. I think we've had more positives this year than we had last year. We've seen more out of the team, and we've seen the ability to fight. The problem is we're no better off. Almost, standings wise, we're no more better off. And at the end of the day, like, that's what you're going to get judged on.
So we do have a match coming up in a week's time, week from today. Sunday, play Brighton. The new, I don't know what you want to call it. It's some kind of derby at this point, right? We've beaten Brighton earlier this season in the Carabao Cup, beat them in preseason here in the United States. It's 3rd time a charm. Could we make it 3 for 3?
3rd time lucky, as they say over across the pond, right? But I think that would be the other way. I think they want to be 3rd time lucky. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough match just because the history between the two clubs now, and some of the bad blood and managerial and whatnot stuff that's happened. And it seemed like they had our number last year. So, I hope so. The problem, the glaring issue for me is our defense is even weaker than it was against Newcastle. And Reese is going to miss the match for the red card, and Cucurella's got a yellow card accumulation as well. So, it further heightens your Axel Disasi comments earlier of having a deep defense is quite important. I hope we see Malo Gusto. It sounds like he just trained a couple of days ago. I don't know if he's fit enough for a full 90 yet. I know he had some nagging hamstring injuries, which tough to go 90 on a hamstring, but I would love to see him play as right back. And then left back, I think you gotta rock with Levi Colwell, just because you have no other option. And then you can choose between Disasi, Badiashile, and Silva as your center backs. It's going to be a good match, but to my further earlier comments, if you have a Caicedo and Enzo pairing in the midfield, Caicedo getting to play against his former club as well, right? That pairing is going to be hard to beat. So I'll put my money there first. Just got to find ways to score the ball. Yeah, you mute.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's fair, especially with how poor Brighton's defense has been this year. Got to find a way to score goals. You need Nico Jackson to score a couple, I would say, in this one. But I think there's some positives. Number one, Brighton are traveling to Athens for their Europa League match on Thursday. So they're going to have a little bit of jet lag, coming back late Thursday and then match on Sunday. They've only won one of their Premier League games following a Europa League match this season. And that was after the first match day, Europa League match day. They've also had 2 red cards in their last 2 games. Lewis Dunk is suspended and Dahoud is suspended. So I think they are equally as vulnerable as we are. Now, we did hear all this prior to Newcastle as well. Hey, they've got 12 injuries. Hey, their bench is going to be shit. And then we got stomped. So we'll see what happens there. But I think in terms of trying to read the tarot cards, I would say things are leaning Chelsea's way at this point. And I 100% agree with you on that defensive lineup. I think that's unfortunately where you got to go unless Malagusto is fully healthy.
I'm going to make a relatively bold claim for a team that's in 12th, but I'm done worrying about what other teams can do to us. Our success is really just going to come down to, do we handle our business? Like, I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of Liverpool. I'm not afraid of Arsenal. I'm not afraid of United. And I'm a little afraid of City. Like, you can throw City in the City can beat anyone in the world on any given day. But I saw our team go toe to toe with them. So the pure fear is a little bit out the window. Now I know any given day they can beat us. Trust me. But aside from City, we'll just throw them out. Aside from City, if we handle our business, I feel like we can beat anyone in the Premier League. I really do. I'm not afraid of anyone else out there. And so I don't care who else missing or what else is going on, because they could pull out a full squad of their fully fit team, and I think we should beat them. So it's, again, bold to say from where we're looking at where we're standing in the Premier League, but it's just coming down to our errors and our lack of ability to score goals, because we're creating enough chances to score enough goals to win. Even if we're conceding, 1-2 a game, like even when we're conceding, we're creating enough great chances to score. And I think that those chances are coming and they're happening. And so throw out whoever you want. I think we can go toe to toe.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had that feeling walking to the pub for the Newcastle game. This time last year would have been thinking, oh man, well, this time last year the World Cup was going on, but earlier this year, you walk into every match and all 3 of us had this feeling of, why am I turning this on? It's a loss. Just chalk it up. How are we going to get shat on today? And it was just vibes, right? That was the vibe. So this year, I will say, I've walked into just about every single match thinking, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Went down 1-0. I wasn't phased. And I know I don't play, I don't coach. Like, it doesn't matter what I think, but just as kind of pulse of the fan, it's not so much that loser mentality that it was last year. And to circle back to the Newcastle match, I honestly think a lot of the reaction is PTSD to last year. Oh, wow, something went wrong. The whole season's about to collapse. Whereas if we are any team in any year of the Premier League ever, it's a bad match. Okay. When's our next one? Like, let's go. Let's get to that next match. No, this is all derivative of the shit show that has been the last year.
And I'm happy you said that, because I felt anger while watching, and I felt like, what the fuck is going on? And I wanted to turn the match off, like in the 70th minute. Like I wanted to, we went down. I was like, why am I still watching this? Like I had those feelings. And then after 24 hours to 36 hours to kind of recoup and come to senses, I'm in a much better place as a fan than I was watching that match. And, you know, chalk it up to growing pains and immaturity and a couple other things that are going on. And we had a bad day at the office, and that's what it was. And I think you're going to learn about this team with the Brighton and then the quick United after Brighton too. I think if we come out and beat Brighton United, that that's a good week, and that will quickly overshadow the Newcastle, because then you have Tottenham City, Newcastle, right? Bad match with Newcastle, and then 2 other matches. So if you just have to keep pushing forward. You have to keep the eyes going forward, keep trying to get wins and draws and convincing performances.
Yeah, and we talked about a couple weeks ago, how many points are we expecting out of this run, right? And how many matches was it? Like 6, 7, something like that.
Just the 3.
Oh no! I'm talking going back, like
gotcha,
to Arsenal.
Yeah.
We were talking like, oh gosh, out of the next 6 matches, we'd love 7 points, 8 points, 9 points. We're there. I think we're exceeding expectations going into this run. We're expecting, some people are expecting this to be just a straight run of losses. Knocked out Tottenham, 4-4, most exciting match of the season against City. Yeah, we lost to Brentford, but advanced in the Carabao Cup, drew against Arsenal, beat Fulham, beat Brighton. It's been a good run. Let it keep rolling. Something we get sucked into on this pod, and I think all Chelsea fans get sucked into, is the micro. You got to zoom out and look at the macro.
Yeah, the run of form since the Arsenal match has been decent. I still think we should have won that Arsenal match. I think that would have helped a lot. But besides the point, like it's been a ridiculous stretch. We're in the thick of it still, with a couple of big matches still to go. But after that, it eases up. You have Everton, Sheffield, Newcastle in the Cup, then Wolverhampton, Crystal Palace, Luton, Fulham. So if we can build some good momentum and then take it to those teams, like, by the end of, what does that take us through? It takes us middle of January. We could be all right. We could be sitting in 7th, 6th place.
And as fatigue then starts setting into those, teams that have played in Europe and have gone deep in cup competitions, we should ideally be a little bit more rested. Maybe Enzo Fernandez gets a match off every once in a while here. So, yeah, I think overall the outlook should be positive.
Speaking of outlook, one thing I am incredibly excited for is what I think is going to be the final piece to the puzzle. Christopher Nkunku is damn near ready to come back. And I think, and I didn't know a lot about him before he came to Chelsea, but after hearing some of the comments, after hearing how he's been reacting to the team, like on social media, and how they've been forming a bond off the pitch even before they played their first real match together, I feel like he is going to just go nuts. I think he is going to come out with a vengeance and just be like, all right, motherfucker, here I am. Like, I really think he's gonna, for lack of better like comparison, he's going to be Cole Palmer 2.0. He's going to be Cole Palmer, but with some experience behind it. And I think you're going to see a man possessed in the way he's going to come out and bring it to the rest of the Premier League. He's going to take it out on some teams for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. I understand why he didn't play against Newcastle. They want to ease him in like they eased Reece James back. So maybe we see him Sunday against Brighton. I would say for sure against United. I'm excited to see where he plays. I think the left is his strongest. If you're picking a side, left would be his strongest. Do you move Sterling back to the right? Do you play Nkunku centrally as a 10? Do you play him as a striker. Where does he fit in? In preseason, he seemed to have great camaraderie and chemistry with Nico Jackson. So maybe this unlocks Nico. I don't know. It's going to be a great December to watch how Nkunku influences this team. And by the way, we got Lavia coming back this month too.
That we do. Yeah, I hope I hope we're able to run a couple of different formations with it, and from false nine to two strikers, and everything kind of in between. So I think he's going to add just that level of dynamic player into the mix. And not to say that Cole Palmer isn't, because he's been fantastic from what we've seen so far. I just think Nkunku brings a different level of experience and age and class to the equation, and keep in mind those two can play together and play off of each other, right? Cole Palmer hasn't played with Nkunku. He didn't get that preseason with him, and those two seem like creatives that can play off of each other real well. And Cole doesn't seem like he's afraid to shoot. Neither does Nkunku. So I'm excited to get the boots back in action.
Yeah, hopefully nothing but positives moving through, especially with players coming back from injury. Wes Fofana also on his way back. Like I said, Romeo Lavia on his way back. Carney Chukwumeka has started rehab, which is good. Could use a little bit of him. Things are looking good. Things are looking positive, and that's the key.
And what's important, I think, is going to be we have a team that we've got kind of our solidified lineup, but I don't think all 11 of them are what I'll call full-time starters when we have a fully fit team. And you pointed that out with Gallagher kind of being that squad depth player. And trust me, it's great to have those as well. But I think we have too many squad players that are playing in front of what I would have normally called, solid A1 lock kind of picks in the team. And so I'm just excited for that day when we get most, if not all, back.
All right. Well, Parker, it's been a great pod. Just two of us. Always love those pods. No offense to Matt, but no, always good. Matt's not on, so any closing thoughts from you today?
I'm drinking a bourbon tonight, and so just cheers to forward looking and good drinks and good friends.
I like it. Well, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to drop us a comment, vote on our polls on Spotify, leave a review on Apple. If I see any new ones come through, I'll make sure to start shouting those out on the pod. Follow us on social media. We've got X, Instagram, all that good stuff. Just follow us at FlagDownPod. You can check out our polls. Not worth doing a man of the match or man to get the fuck out of here for today's. I feel like we kind of covered all of that. But those are available after every match. So make sure to check those out. So Parker, that's all I've got. Again, always thankful. And we move on.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.